Hello, everyone. My name is Marion with DTM Real Talk Channel. It's the channel that you can tune into, have the ability to listen to the thoughts of others about topics all over the world that touch every one of our lives. Everybody goes through basically the same thing. There is nothing new under the sun. So if you're going through, someone else has already been there. Maybe you can find hope. Maybe it's a pathway that can set you on the right road just by tuning in. So DTM Real Talk, just keeping it real. And if you like it, like us at the bottom, subscribe, and let us know just how we helped you. Just keeping it real. Nothing but love. Good evening. Welcome to DTM Real Talk, and we are back with a very special guest again. This young lady I met, I want to say over 10 years ago, maybe over 10 years ago. And I met her through a mutual friend, which is a big brother of mine who has gone home to meet the Lord. And we did not reconvene until about this year, a couple of months ago. So it was really funny because I didn't recognize her and she didn't recognize me. And we were like second looks at each other. Trying to figure out who that was. I've seen that lady before. But anyway, guys, she has an incredible story of how her life story of where God brought her from to where she is today. So Chestine, say hi to the good folks out there.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Great morning.
Great morning. It is evening, girl. It's okay. She she need a nap. It's all good. So, girl, we've been rolling with DTM Real Talk. We just been, we did interviews on marriages. It's been crazy. And then last week we had an amazing young woman, Dawn Breedham. She was off the chart. And she had a diagnosis of HIV positive. I don't know if you saw it, but she tells her story about how God just used that, turned that negative into a positive. So great, great, great story. And so we're looking forward to hearing yours today. So just
all right.
Tell the good folks, where are you from, by the way?
Actually, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, I didn't know that. Oh, all right. So what about family life for you? Siblings, mom and dad? Let's talk about that. Share that with the good folks.
Okay, so it's 9 of us. I have five brothers and 3 sisters. And so it was 9 of us. My parents, mother and father, they both passed. My mother passed when I was 5 years old. My daddy, 6 months later, he passed shortly after then. So my aunt came in and stepped in like the soldier that she was, and she raised us. Yeah.
Wow. She raised 9 of you.
She raised 9 of us all by herself. Wow. And the good part about it is that she wasn't dependent on the government. So we didn't receive government assistance. She believed in working. She was determined to do what she promised her sister that she would do, which was take care of her children. And she did that.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. So did your mom pass away of sickness or?
Well, she was giving birth to her, I think, the 10th child. And she hemorrhaged to death. And so, yeah, that was one of the things that I didn't understand. But as you get older, you understand those kind of things, they can happen. So yes, she passed along with my baby sister.
Oh, okay. I'm very sorry. Wow. Well, you were only what, 5, 6, 7, something like that?
I was 5 years old, and the bad part about it was never a good time, but we buried her on Christmas Eve. And that was really for 9 children, So yeah, and then my father passed 6 months later. He had a heart attack. And they was in their 30s, and so I consider that really young, but his lifestyle, he just couldn't live without her. So yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow. So that was pretty rough. So after you moved in with your aunt, the 9 of you, the remainder of the children, how did life roll with that? What about school, early childhood? Talk about that.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go into the kindergarten. So I saw a lot of abuse from my father and my parents that she was really easygoing, but he was the character, And so he had a drink. My father had a drinking problem, which caused violence in the home and disruptive in the household. And so I was a very, what you would call a very nervous child,
Mm,
frightened because I didn't know what was going to take place. So it
sure.
was a blessing that my aunt did come and take all of us and, raise us in a much better environment.
Right,
So
right.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I was always nervous. And after they passed, she came, took us in, and one thing she was determined to do was to raise us by herself, because she said she didn't believe in a man coming in to be a part of raising her sister's children, because sometimes that can interrupt a lot of things, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, and so I was really traumatized by the whole thing.
Yeah.
As growing up as a kid, I was going into the kindergarten, wasn't sure what was going to take place, where we were going to be, because losing one parent and then after another, I just didn't know. So I was kind of traumatized as a kid. I started wetting the bed. And so I started acting out. I didn't know I was acting out, but I was acting
Right,
out.
right.
And I was very nervous, scared. And so my aunt, she had other sisters and they had children, and they came in and supported, helped out as much as they could. And my one aunt, she had a son,
Hmm.
and he was a little older than us. And what, back in the day, they trusted family members, you
Sure,
know,
sure.
and family members helped, they supported, but also they caused problems as well, because why? We trust them. So he came in and he would help, as he's probably maybe 4 or 5 years older than
Mm.
us. And so he took advantage of this situation, and he came in and he would molest me and my sister.
He
And
would
so
molest
that was a,
both of you.
yeah,
Mm.
yes. And I don't know who else, because it was hush hush. We didn't say anything, because we had older brothers, and we knew they would take care of that, but we didn't want no, I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say I didn't
Yes.
want any problems, because I saw too much and I was already traumatized. So I didn't know what to expect next.
Sure.
So, by the grace of God, being traumatized by all of that, I just never knew what to expect. I was a very quiet person, didn't want any problems. And so I just kind of stayed to myself a lot, you
Right.
know.
So let me ask you something. So how long did this go on, the molestation?
I couldn't remember, because a lot of times when a woman or a person is being traumatized, they block out a lot of things.
Absolutely.
I don't know how long it took place. Maybe a year or two. As we got older, then we started knowing better. So when he would come over, we would scatter. And so after a while, he stopped coming, and taking us all separate places.
Right. So have
So
you seen him since then? So have you seen him since then?
You know, I did see him when I went to prison. I know this is going forward, but
That's
when I was in prison, I began to talk to the Lord. I began to develop a relationship with God, and as I began to establish a relationship with God, I began to talk to God. And one of the things that I read in the Word of God, it says forgive. And so I knew that was something I had to do, and that was to forgive him. And so I asked God, some people will write it down and write journal and stuff. I didn't do that. I wanted to see him in person.
Yes.
And by the grace of God, me spending a lot of time in prison gave me a lot of time to work on myself. And
Right.
so when I did get out of prison after all those years, just so happened I ran across him.
Wow.
And he was in a bad situation. And I called him over to the
Let's
car.
pause right there. Let's pause right there. So when you saw him, what can you describe your feeling to the good folks, since you had this long conversation with God and decided that you were going to forgive him? Of course, you felt something the moment you saw him.
Oh,
Can you express
because
that?
yeah, because of um, the type of heart that I had, God restored so much in me. And so the type of heart I had, when I laid eyes on him, I felt sad
Mm,
because of what I saw, the hurt that I saw on his face. We never know what a person go through, the reason why they hurt people, because I do know hurting people hurt others. So
Oh,
I remember
absolutely.
going through it. I
Absolutely.
saw him and I had compassion, and I saw him and I said, oh my God, look at him. He looks beat down. And so I called him over to the car. I was in the car with my daughter,
Uh-huh.
and he came over and
Oh,
he
this
said,
was many years because you were a child and now you had a dog. Okay, go on. Go on.
yes. I mean, I would see him throughout our life. I would spend my
Sure.
distance. But, I saw him and I called him over because he was kind of hesitant to say, well, should I go? And so I called him over and I looked him in the eye and I said, how are you doing? And he wouldn't respond to me. He had that body language, which I had learned all these. I had so many tools that I had gathered while I was incarcerated. And I looked at him and he would look at me. And then I looked and I said, hey, cuz, how are you doing? And he said, I'm doing fine. And I looked at him again because he was, leaning over the car. So he wasn't really fine. And
Right.
so I said, I forgive you. I forgive you. But I wanted him to make that eye contact. But he heard it. So that was enough for me. And
Right.
so he finally looked up and said, okay, okay. I didn't go into further details. It wasn't
Right.
me.
It was not necessary. You were working on you.
I was working on me.
Perfect.
And
Yeah,
I wasn't going to let my daughter, she
of
didn't need
course.
to know. And of course, she was old enough to drive then. And so he said, yeah. And I told him I love him. And I said, I'll talk to you later. And he said, okay. And he walked off. And when he walked off, I felt a relief. And I was like, thank you, God,
And
for
you know,
allowing.
Chestine, that's exactly what it's about. It's about freeing you. Only free people can free people. Just as you said, only hurt people hurt people.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you came to a point in your life where, with God's help, by the grace of God, as you said, to be able to free him, to be able to look him square in the face, regardless to the decision that he had made, regardless to what he was going through. Good folks out there, it doesn't matter what the other person is going through, because guess what? Whether you, when you forgive them, whether you forgive them or not, they're going to continue to do whatever they're doing and wherever they're going through. So you may as well become free. You may
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, go on. I appreciate you sharing that. So go on.
So after that, we backed out of the driveway and I left feeling like it was a burden lifted up off of my shoulders.
Yes.
I felt good. I felt like I could breathe, and
Yes.
so I went on, and maybe a week later, they called me and said he passed.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
yeah, he had a heart attack. Yeah.
Oh
And
my God.
so, yeah, I felt bad,
Yes, of course.
but I felt good that I had asked him for forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's incredible. What a way to end the story. Sorry for his passing, but you were free. You became free. Yeah, that's.
And being that if I wouldn't have never, God wouldn't have never allowed us to come across one another pathway, I don't know how I would have dealt it, because writing a letter wasn't going to be good enough for me.
Yeah.
And God knew that. So he allowed me to see him in person. So I'm just grateful for
Isn't
all
that
of that.
amazing?
Yeah.
That is awesome. So now, okay, so let's just back up a little bit. I'm thankful for that story. We'll get to that in the end, because my mind is running 150 miles a minute. So let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. And I know you said you were incarcerated. Could you talk about that? What led to that? Well, first of all, what were you incarcerated for?
I was incarcerated for numerous of things.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Yeah.
The first time I was incarcerated, it was I went to federal prison due to committing a federal crime. Met a young man. Because of my upbringing, we were so sheltered. When I did get out, I was so excited, and anything someone brought to me, I was game for it. I was just looking for excitement, I saw so much sadness, and so I was looking for excitement. Met this guy, and I didn't know anything about the drug life. And he introduced me to cocaine, and after he introduced me to himself and then cocaine, I never did drink, smoke, or anything. After he introduced me to it, the first time I was immediately addicted to it. And so, which led to the life of crime. And so I was with him. He did some things, and so which caused me to land up in prison, in the federal prison. And the judge, he sentenced me to 3 years. And I met some people in there and got my case overturned. And so I spent 2 years in federal prison. And so I thank God, got out. Once I got out, I still got back with the same people because it was still fun. It wasn't no big deal. Got out and and started mingling with them, socializing with them, and got right back into the same swing of things. Met him again. He came across my path. Of course, we keep in contact with one another once you've been to prison, and they allow that to happen. And I met, got back with him and continued to do the things we did, which was commit crimes. And so we he started robbing. And so I was a part of that. And he was the type of young man that he can do little small things. He committed big crimes. When I say big crimes, robbing jewelry stores. And I enjoyed all that fast money, fast lifestyle, which led me back into prison.
Okay.
And so after we robbed a couple of jewelry stores, I mean, he was so clever and he had an extensive vocabulary.
Wow.
Very nice looking young man. So when he approached the people in the stores, they would go for whatever he said. And so once he got a hold of the jewelry, as like he was looking at it to purchase it, he grabbed it, ran out of the store, and that was it. I mean, just simple as that.
And never got caught. Never got caught.
Never got caught. And I used to often say, how long does the statute of limitations run out before I tell my story?
Wow.
So, yeah. And we would never get caught. And because of who he was, he had a high reputation of doing that kind of stuff. So people believed they knew it. When they saw the jury, they knew it. And so he would get large quantities of drugs and money. And so that's what led my addiction, my expenses to be so high,
Okay. So you're saying that he had so much drugs and access to so much money that it fed your addiction.
It fed my addiction
in a larger way.
Yes, and it also kept me and my children, we were established really well, kept us in a nice place, nice neighborhood, no one knows, And after he got incarcerated, then I had to start doing things on my own.
Whoa, okay.
Which I just knew I wasn't going to go in there and start robbing the jewelry stores and things like that, like he would. But eventually I started committing crimes and doing things which landed me up in prison.
Whoa. Yeah. So with that, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Folks, I know you want to hear what's next. So we're going to let Chestine come back next week and tell us how she got caught and what happened when she went to prison and what she experienced there. So we'll see you next week. This is DTM, Real Talk, and we're just doing what? Keeping it real. See you next week. Thanks for watching DTM Real Talk. Be sure to join us for more conversation. And oh yeah, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe while you're there.